Welcome to Transformation with Martine. Conquer everything and compromise nothing. This show brings you real, raw, and vulnerable conversations. If you have never liked small talk and have been on a personal growth journey for a long time, stay tuned as Martine and her guests share empowering stories. Now is the time to own your past and look toward your future with hope. Believe in your dreams, and all that you want to achieve is possible. Transformation Coach Martine helps you accept and love you for you. It's time to listen to your heart and tap into your unlimited potential. You have the answers you need inside. Sometimes you just need the right guide to help allow transformation to happen. Transformation with Martine starts now.
Welcome everyone to Transformation with Martine, where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. Happy Friday. For those of you who don't know, my show is about overcoming and the resilience of the human spirit. And we just have fun. We have vulnerable, real, raw conversations. There's no scripted anything. So, and the show is every week, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And welcome back, Jami Hearn. This woman is cool. We've been in each other's community for a long time. And, I just told her, I said, it's kind of funny. I was going through my Facebook memories, and here we did a show exactly 1 year ago today. So here we are again. So what you got for us today, my friend?
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. Apparently, we just have to make it a yearly tradition that we connect for the public to hear our magic and wisdom.
Yes.
So I've had a super dynamic year. Yeah. I have accomplished all sorts of projects, and I am now an empty nester. So there's been a lot of change.
Yeah. That's it. Some people are, at least, in my friend community, and our community and all that too. Like, some people are really like, oh God. And then other people are like, whoo, let's go. It's my time. How do you feel?
Well, I think I felt a combination of the two, because naturally you have an attachment to your kids. I mean, most moms do anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a really great opportunity to put yourself first and reconnect with what serves you on a soul level, and really to separate yourself from the mom identity that's often consumed you for the last couple of decades.
Yes. That just flashes in my mind, big lights here. Like, one of my colleagues, I got her a couple TED Talks. Woo! That's part of what I do, everyone. But I got her a TED Talk, and what she did, it's not even like in her like what she normally talks about, but she said that she titled her talk the day I found my name. And she was in the, parenting early stages. We've known each other for 20 years. And she just said, everybody, she'd go to her husband's work. Oh, Ron's wife, Bronson and Ronan's kids, That my colleague is Evelyn Knight. She's been on the show too. And she said that she just made the decision, looking out her back window one day, like, oh my, I gotta have my name. And some of us don't realize that at the young age she was. Most of us are where we are.
Yeah, and that's so true. Like, we get deemed Dominic's mom. Like, my son is 20, and no matter where I go, I'm still Dominic's mom.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that in that realm. But for me, I needed to find myself.
Yeah.
Because the world is a dynamic place, and I don't want to be subject to anything. So I am creating my own change for myself. And that starts with making decisions that honor me and my joy.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Joy. We have a couple colleagues. I don't need to say their names right now, but it's like that is how they base every decision. Is this going to affect or impede my joy before I decide, okay, am I going to do this or not? Whether it's letting somebody down or whatever the case, and that could be your own kids. You got to honor you.
Right. And that's a great filter, because when your kids are 20 or older, there are going to be times when you let them down because their needs are no longer paramount to yours. When they're two,
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
you're gonna do whatever they need. But when they're
Exactly.
20, they can do what they need themselves under most
Right.
circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. So where is this so this is going on in your life, and then what else is going on, and how do they all fit together?
So I don't think I've talked to you since we bought back my family's century farm.
No.
So my
Oh,
grandma's grandfather bought this farm at the turn of the 20th century, and
wow.
we had the opportunity to buy it back about a year ago, which was
Wow.
wonderful and amazing and a little daunting because it's a really big purchase.
Hmm.
So we did, and almost instantaneously, I was confronted with generational healing that never occurred and was now my responsibility. So,
Wow.
so that was powerful because I come from a line of farmers who always valued the sons. The daughters were expendable. And the deeper I dug into that, there was a programming that women didn't stay around. They either died in childbirth, or were just emotionally absent. So the more I explored that, the more I realized, like, well, I'm changing this. That is not my story. So
Great.
I am the first female relative or descendant to be in the chain of title on this property.
Mm.
So that was a pretty powerful position to be in, and one of great responsibility,
Hmm.
because I took on the mantle for healing this line of, thousands of people. If it starts with my grandmother's grandfather, he had a boatload of kids, and then his kids had a boatload of kids, and
Yeah.
it felt very onerous to me,
Hmm.
but necessary.
Yeah.
So that was quite a journey that I have been on for the last year or so.
Ooh. You know, that's kind of overwhelming. Like I can like I don't have your abilities. You know, Jami here is extremely, she's psychic. She talks to dead people. I mean, she's got skills here. But I do have a little myself. Like I can pick up on things, and
She
I
has more
feel
than she lets on, everyone.
that. Okay, a little maybe. But I feel that. I feel that when you say that. Like I can just picture myself being there and just feeling this energy. Was that what it was like this energy, or were like, were you being talked to? Like, what was going on? That's
Yeah,
interesting, fascinating,
I
actually.
I've had ongoing interactions with the grandfather that bought the property originally, um, because he did a lot of things that we do. Like he observed moon cycles, and that drove his farming schedules. And he was very connected with animals. He wasn't interested in like crops that had been modified. He wanted old heirloom kind of stock.
Yeah.
So that's how we operate the farm. And he's very appreciative of us honoring the legacy.
Mhm.
It was my great grandmother that I had the hardest time with, because she bought right into that patriarchal, the son is most important. Also, she lost two sons. One was like 4 or 5, and one was an infant.
Mhm.
So I know that was not uncommon in the 30s, but still painful, I'm sure. So
Sure.
the one son who survived was her golden boy. And here I come with no reverence for the male line. And she wasn't really keen on that. So she and I had a lot of working out to do.
Mhm.
She was also coming from a very different place belief wise than I do.
Mhm.
She had very strict religious beliefs, and I tend to have more nature oriented beliefs.
Mhm.
So there was an agreement that had to be reached.
Yeah.
Um, but she shows up. She is very present for us. My husband stays there occasionally, and he experiences things that can't be seen. So he's getting okay with it.
He has to. Married to you, I think.
Yes, that's true. But healing with her was the hardest part of the journey and the most effective part of the journey also. My grandma is still living. She was born in that house. So it's really a deep emotional, spiritual, and familial connection.
Wow. So speaking of Miles, I mean, has he, I know like when we first met, it was like you would, there were jokes, I mean, you would tell about cloaks and all this kind of stuff. Is he a little bit more, I don't want to say believer, but just like, is he just like, okay, well, this is my life. I mean, this is life and we have abilities and.
He's opened up a lot more.
Yeah.
He's always been connected and just never wanted to admit it. So by nature of being around me a lot, things have started to ramp up for him. And he's starting to honor that, knowing that he used to pretend didn't exist.
Gotcha.
Like, there is a funny story about him. My dad had passed away, and we were sitting in the living room with no TV or anything on, just talking. And he said, "Did you hear that?" And I said, the voices in the kitchen? He said, no, that was the radio in the kitchen. I said, "Honey, we don't have a radio in the kitchen." And he was like, "We have a radio in the kitchen." And that was it. I was like, okay, guess it was the radio in the kitchen.
Ooh, yeah, talk about, well, denial, but like, okay, something's going on here, but I'm not gonna, it's gonna have to be this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you guys, I mean, you had a lot of property before, like, so you don't live on the farm. You still live in the same place? Or?
We still live in the same place, but the farm is about 4 miles from where we live.
Okay.
So it's accessible. And each of us do occasionally spend the night there, or the kids spend the night there. So we make ourselves present.
Okay. So it's your place now to do what you want. Like nobody is caretaking it, or it's
correct.
Okay. That's really exciting. Okay. We're going to take a break for a moment, but I can't wait to discuss more. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you in a few. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Jami Hearn, and we've been talking about a lot of what just comes to you. You feel things and you grab onto it. Like a lot of us were like, we may not, we see something coming, or we have these inclinations, but we don't always glam onto them. But Jami would be the someone who does that, and I'm learning to trust myself more. So we talked a little bit on break that your husband Miles was the one who decided to go after this farm, like and before, like, it wasn't on the market, it was just an opportunity. Was he like, I know that you already get all these things, but and you're saying that he's more open, but was this just coming onto his whole soul too? Like, okay, this is something we have to do, even if it costs more than we plan. Yeah.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
He knew we needed to do this. And it's now transpired that there are many more reasons we needed to do it that we weren't aware of a year ago, or even 2 years ago when we started this conversation.
Yeah.
He has undergone a dynamic transformation since he met me. So we live in rural northeastern US. And when I met him, he said, "Wouldn't it be amazing to own 10 acres and be able to have a little farm?" And I said, 10 acres? Who could be bothered with that? We want 200.
Oh, God.
And he was like, and I've always been a big dreamer. So it's like, that just came naturally to me. And he was like, let's be realistic. Like, he was always bitten by that realistic scarcity bug.
Yeah,
And I was
know
like,
someone
no,
like that.
like this is realistic for me. So we went on about, just our normal lives. We bought our first property. It was 50 acres. And he was like, oh my God, I never thought I would own this much property.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, well, this is just the start. Like, we're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we went on and bought a couple more properties as the years went by. So when it was time to consider the opportunity to buy this property, he had completely recalibrated his story and his capacity to expand his abundance and his wealth consciousness.
Yeah.
That he was able to say, Jami, we're doing this. No matter what the price is, we're going to make it work. So it was a really refreshing change of roles in that conversation for us. And he has 100% shifted who he was from a perspective of buying into the lack mentality and victim mentality and scarcity into who he is now. I'd like to take some of the credit for that, but I only get a scooch. Like, he did the work.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so exciting. So how many acres is the farm then?
It's 100.
100. Okay. Wow. Wow. We moved about a year ago from our little tiny town, Fenton. Yeah, but well, 2 years ago now. And being in this area is so congested that, like, you talking about the land you have now just makes me, okay. Whew. I can't wait to get back to at least a couple acres.
You better just come visit me then.
Yeah, I would love to. I need to do that.
But I've been hosting events because it is such a sacred energy on this property. I've had theta healing classes, meditations, mushroom forages. We have a bi-monthly potluck where other people who are interested in things that are outside the norm come and just chat and learn stuff. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. And it sounds like the perfect place to do it, especially with all the healing that you did on there. It just seems like a very sacred place for sure. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Yeah, I just, even in my space, it just taught me, because like even the narrow streets here, you have to, if somebody's going down the street, but you have to pull over. Like, nobody can go. There's so little space. And then once you get just out of my cute little sub, very nice, it says traffic is so heavy all the time. And I'm like, oh, this isn't me. This doesn't feel good. So I've been pushing for
that's a
more
rough
space.
vibration.
Yeah. So what you say is just like, oh, that just sounds so peaceful and healing and awesome. So on the break, we're talking a little bit about too, like, I've always had this dream of Italy, and I know my family is Italy, Switzerland, some Germany, and I still have family in Switzerland, but Italy for some reason has called to me. And I know it's something that I've got to do. And I feel like if I could, like, a month, just explore every little nook and cranny. And you mentioned that something's going on there. So yeah.
Yeah. So I've been doing a ton of goddess work, and we can talk about that after we address the message that comes through for you. Because as soon as you mention Italy, like, your entire aura lights up. There is something there for you. And it kind of goes along with our whole conversation today about reclaiming who you are at soul level and reigniting the spark associated with the excitement and joy of that person. That's what Italy means to you. And you have a really strong energetic connection with an Italian goddess. She doesn't necessarily come into the goddess pantheon like you think of Aphrodite or Venus or any of the goddesses that we often hear about. But my perception of goddess is any female ascended master who brings wisdom and guidance to the world, but specific people. It's like they come in as a guide for you. And the energy that does come in for you is called Matilda of Canossa.
Oh,
She was super ahead of her time. She was alive during the 11th century. I think she passed in the 12th century. So that was really the time of crusades and the growth of Christianity and the control of the Pope and overtaking some of the more tribal societies in an attempt to create this huge Roman Empire. She was one of the women who owned land and had power and had money, and she was not interested in the patriarchy.
mm-hmm.
So much so that she befriended the Pope and made a lover out of him.
Oh my gosh. Oh, pretty powerful woman there.
Oh, baby.
Wow.
So when you talk about Italy, she is like holding open arms for you to come and find your power in Italy. Mm-hmm. And she is also available to you for any kind of guidance or support or wisdom that you seek, specifically about breaking old programming and old traditions that don't serve you. Mm. And it's often easy to say, yeah, that belief really doesn't serve me, but I don't know what to do about it. Mm-hmm. That's when leaning on some external energies, whether it's another human as a mentor or this goddess energy that's available to you, is super powerful, because you can get out of your head and into your body and recognize where these beliefs live and start to let go of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It sounds like, yes, that's, I definitely need to do that. And at the same time, sometimes it's just hard to do it. I mean, it's like I work on it and think, okay, this is good. And then, so some kind of hold. It's like you're talking about miles in the, like, oh, yeah, maybe 10 acres, but then, oh, yes, 50. Oh my God, this is a lot. But then 100. And it's like, it's getting to that point where you can't open up to that,
It's a process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've done a 180 on that, but still not quite there yet. Not like the visions that you have yet. Not even like
everyone is in the continuum somewhere. Mm-hmm. And there's not an end point. So as you shift, new things come in for you to shift, because the lens that you are looking through has shifted with you. So you always have something to work on.
Well, yeah, I know that. Absolutely know that we're always going to be working on things. I just wish I could, or not wish, I am working on it, and I'm definitely a work in progress, as we all are. But I've definitely seen what I've desired, and, is coming definitely to fruition. May not be at the speed I want it, but it's coming.
Yeah, I know. Karma is so slow.
It is
bad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So every time we connect, it's like, okay, things like we ignited, a lot of my passions and goals and all that. So what I mean, you've always been here, but it seems like, at least right now, you're much more ignited in your passion than you have been. Like, really in it right now.
I'm far clearer on where I'm going and what I want to share with the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So so would you say that like doing this clearing energy on the farm, and having this just more space to do healing work, what is that leading to? I guess that is what I mean.
So that's been the catalyst for me to connect with my own inner goddess. Mm-hmm. And by goddess, I mean like the powerful essence of your soul that mm-hmm. every one of us has. But it's been an opportunity to have really cool conversations with other well-known goddess energies like Matilda.
Mm-hmm. Mm. We should talk more about that and how we tap in. And we have to take a break, but I would love to do that. And I know that you have a book, or at least a recommendation on that, though.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be right back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Jami Hearn, and we are talking about making our dreams happen, really. It's all about that, and tuning in to our higher wisdom, goddess energy, however you want to call it. There's a lot of different ways to do that, plus tapping into goddesses that are real. So, Jami, you have a book on it. You want to tell us about that and how we can kind of connect to
Absolutely.
other.
So I just released a book called Celtic Goddesses, and it's a study in feminine spirituality, specifically related to the Celtic culture. I have another one coming out shortly on Egyptian culture. There are so many different aspects of goddesses that, I mean, I could probably write for the rest of my life and still not cover them all.
Mm-hmm.
But there are common threads among all of them. And those threads are mother goddesses, goddesses of power, and goddesses who've evoked fear. They're often known as dark goddesses. Of course, they're my favorite ones. But the primary thing that I find compelling about all of these goddesses is the idea of female sovereignty. And it's actually just sovereignty in general, but our culture has ingrained us to see sovereignty as a political function. But really, it's an internal, individual person function. And that is the ability to control yourself, what affects you, how you interact, how you show up, and what you put out into the world. Mm-hmm. So every one of us has it to some degree. And the process that I've been going through with these goddess energies is learning how to claim my place in this world and my sovereignty and allow it to serve me without disserving others.
How do you have, for some, I may know a little bit more than some people, but it's like, how do you tune into that? How?
So it really starts with getting comfortable with yourself. Mm-hmm. And then beginning to integrate sacred practices. And a sacred practice doesn't have to be dancing around a campfire at midnight with 12 of your friends. A sacred practice can be something like putting your feet in the grass with a cup of coffee in the morning and just enjoying the quiet.
Yep.
It can be as simple as you want it to be. It may be playing a healing bowl. What are those called?
Oh, yes, yeah. I have one actually right here, singing bowl. Like that. Yep.
And lighting incense. It can be as simple as you desire it to be. Mm-hmm. But the intention of the practice is to connect with yourself in a space that is not consumed by your phone or by your kids or by the dog or anything else, just you. I actually get up quite early in the morning to find this time. Mm-hmm. And while I say you shouldn't be distracted by your dogs, one of my dogs revels in this time and space.
Yeah.
I have a seating area out on a porch, and she will come out, and if it's cool out, she'll get right under the blanket with me, and she just wants to be in that energy. Yeah. She's getting kind of old, so she's not that active, and she's just happy to lay there and feel the energy and receive it. But that is the pursuit of creating a sacred practice. Mm-hmm. And that is the space where you start to connect with yourself. Then the more comfortable you get with that, you can add in additional practices to start connecting with some goddess energies.
Mm-hmm.
One particular energy that I love connecting with is the Morgan. Actually, my dog is named Morgan too, so maybe there's something there, right? But I call her in because she is one of those dark goddesses that leads you to work with the shadows of who you are. Because all of us have parts of our personality that we're not super proud of and don't want to be like, look at me, I'm whatever. I'm judgy about this. Like, so she basically holds your hand as you start to look at some of those things. So I've been recently working with her because I've got some tendencies to want to control situations. And that doesn't help me. It doesn't help anybody involved in the situation. And we've got family stuff going on that I need to release control. So every morning, Morgan and I have been journaling.
That's awesome.
And I invoke her by having an image of a crow, some crystals, and I like rosemary to be like that. That's just an herb that I really connect with, and it helps us connect with spiritual energies. So I'll either have a rosemary candle or some rosemary incense, or when it was fresh, I would cut it and put it in water, and I create a little altar. It's just a tiny spot on the table on the porch.
Yeah.
But I put all of those out, and then I sit quietly, and I will say, I am open to receive any guidance you have to offer. Show me.
Yeah.
Invariably, I get something, even if it's not the Morgan appearing before me in all of her illustrious beauty.
Yeah.
But it's a thought that is not mine. And you begin to recognize your thoughts and those that are downloaded from energies. Or it's a certain animal presenting itself in a certain way that is unusual. So you start journaling those things and begin to notice themes and messages. But it's important to record them, because every day, how much stimulus do we all have? And you forget most of it.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you go back and journal, like, oh yeah, I saw this really weird raccoon. That actually happened to me. I saw a bunch of raccoons, which isn't uncommon living in the country. But finally, I was driving home one day, and one ran into the road, stood up on its back paws, and held its front paws up like, hello.
Wow.
So I was like, apparently, I've been missing the message.
Listen.
Right. And it's so easy to miss the message until you start to tune in and really get comfortable in that quiet space for the messages to come through.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. You know, like I mentioned a little bit ago, that we live in a very congested area right now, but going up one street, there's a lot of space between the homes. It's about a mile half a mile from where I am right now. And that's the only place I see deer anymore, but they're everywhere. And I see them, and sometimes I feel like I'm just so close to them. I'm like, it's okay. Like, you know, and they're starting to seem like they're trusting me a little bit more. So I always think, oh, maybe they have something for me, you know, is what I think often, you know. And right now we've had so much rain that there's a lot of flooding, which for some of the homes there, it's not so good. But boy, that nature, you know, is just out everywhere, and it's beautiful. You know, these deers are just running all along the water, and that just gives such a peace. I feel like that's at least for me, that's my grass and my feet in the grass. It's out walking by all this pretty open land and these deers running by.
And for people who can't get to nature like that, maybe you live in Manhattan and Central Park
Right.
just isn't accessible to you.
Yeah.
It's okay to play a YouTube video of a creek running, and you can tell where
Yeah.
I'm from if I the creek running.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just enjoy the sound of nature.
Mhm.
Nature's a very powerful healer
Oh, yeah.
and conduit for energy.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
hey, if you do live in the country, drop me a note. You can come stay at the farm for a weekend. I mean, in the city or the country, wherever you
Yeah.
live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That sounds nice, though. Just all the land that you have and that expansiveness. It seems like that's a good place to be able to expand what you're capable of. Just having that.
It's a
And
really good place to test your ability to listen too.
Mhm.
One of the classes that was hosted on our farm, like I said, I only live a couple miles, and they called me and said, "Hey, would you come over and take us up to the pond to do a meditation?" Absolutely. And when I got there, I heard in my ear, "You better turn the fence off." I had warned them that it's an electric fence. We have beef cattle.
Oh,
So we like the cattle to stay inside.
yeah.
They're well provided for and well loved, but sometimes they get a little adventurous.
Yeah.
So I went and turned the fence off, and a couple people said, "We're just going to walk to the pond." I saw this boy touching the fence every 10 feet. And I was like, good thing I listened, because he'd be laying on the ground.
Yes. Oh, man. Dang. Yeah. Good thing you listened, because not everybody would have. Like, you know, how many times do we ignore that?
I'm guilty of ignoring it quite a lot myself.
Golly. Wow. So tell us a little bit more about Celtic Goddesses book and, well, where everybody can find it.
You can find it on Amazon. It's called Celtic Goddesses.
Uh-huh.
That's the best place to find it right now. It's
Okay.
available on Kindle and
Okay.
paperback, and the Audible version is being recorded as we speak. So if you're an audiobook listener, I am totally an audiobook listener,
Me too.
that will be available soon too.
Awesome. So is your podcast still going?
It
Between
is.
Witches and Dead People. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. I haven't listened in a while. I need to
You
do
have to
that.
come on.
I should. That would be fun. We need to do that. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we're going to take a break again, and we'll come back with final thoughts and whatever we come up with for you. See you in a few minutes. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine. Conquer everything, compromise nothing, and real, raw, vulnerable conversations. As you can tell, we're just having fun here. So my guest today is Jami Hearn, and we've been talking about healing, goddess energy, manifesting our dreams, taking a chance. And she's telling me, hey, go to Italy. Yeah, I know I need to do that. I've been told that for years, and I just, it's that what we've been talking about as well. Sometimes it's like that lack mentality. It's like, how the hell am I going to do that? I'm already in debt. How can I take on more? It's not smart, and all this stuff starts going in your head, kind of thing.
Story is that?
Well, I was actually working on that with what is it? T. Harv Ekert's book, the
Oh yeah.
Millionaire Mindset book. And he's talking about, writing down all your beliefs and where they come from. And my dad always said, never had it, never will, even though he does. He is quite well set.
He also is a Depression era
Yes.
survivor, effectively.
Yes.
So, they come from a very different mindset than we experience right now.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So trying to I know they're not my beliefs. I know that, but why they still kind of circle, Yeah.
It's sometimes hard to articulate those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another reason not to go this alone, because when you're even in a conversation with a friend, like you and I chat sometimes, and stuff comes up, and you're like, oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
because you have blinders and blind spots to the beliefs that are existing just beneath the surface sometimes. And you can't really work on them if you don't know that they're there.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. They don't come up until a conversation sometimes. You just think you're going along fine and making some strides, maybe not as big as you want, but making some strides. And then it's like you have a conversation and then something comes in. It's like, oh, okay, that's exactly what it is. And then you have something more to work on. Yeah.
And
So
I often find that the conversations I have with other people reflect the things I'm blind to. So if somebody's telling me they're bumping up against something, I will stop and pause and say, is that relevant for me? And if so, where am I ignoring it or avoiding it or pretending it doesn't exist that I need to address?
Right, absolutely. And at least most of us in our realm, we are willing to look at those things, which is very helpful.
If you don't look at them, don't worry, you'll have plenty more chances to look at them, but it might not even be this lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a daunting thought. Like some of these things that I've been through or, had to deal with now, I'm like, I want to get it done now. I don't want to do that next time.
I want all the credit.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So what would you say to someone who's like embarking on a journey? They want to connect with themselves more. They want to, make their dreams come true. Yeah. What would you say to someone who's?
I would say you definitely want to have a community.
Mm-hmm.
And, that looks different for every person. There are plenty of places online. I have a cool Facebook group. It's called the Badass Goddess Collective, where it's a safe space that women can share even things that might seem delusional. I actually had a woman message me before I jumped on today. She's like, do you think I'm delusional? Because this is what I think. And I was like, sister, if you're delusional, I'm certifiable. So let's hear more.
Good answer. Good answer. And that is total support too, just to let someone know they're not alone.
Yeah, without judgment. Like, we're all our own little cup of crazy. That's totally cool. And when people call me weird, I'm like, thank you. I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but the etymology of the word weird comes from the same root as wise. So it was us wise crones who carried all of the wisdom in ancient tribal societies. And we were deemed weird, which is perfectly cool in my book.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Hey, yeah, I guess I am pretty wise, I am.
Yeah.
But if I'm weird, I'm wise. All right, that's good. I like that. Yeah.
And you can also build community in person, which is another cool thing. And I mean, we've connected in different parts of the country at retreats, and sometimes that is the most transformational space to be in, because you're out of your normal routine. You're in a space that's conducive to really shifting energies and beliefs, but sometimes that's not accessible.
Right.
So creating your own little retreat where maybe you go to the park for an afternoon and just sit with a book and have no distractions, leave your phone in the car. A little mini retreat like that is great too. Even if you have to do a retreat online, they're available. So finding a community and finding some space to just be with yourself are the two most important places to start.
Absolutely. I love that. And I do think, with COVID and all that, we found a lot of online communities and everything. And that's great. I wouldn't trade the ones I have by any means, but I think there's something special about being in person though. There really
Definitely.
is. Do you have any going on right now? You mentioned some retreats and some even like day trips. Do you have something going on that people
I actually have a bunch going on right now. My September and October, every weekend is like packed full.
Oh my gosh.
The next thing going on is this weekend, Northeastern Pennsylvania. It's called the Wild Women's Festival, and like
Ooh.
1,000 women are expected. It's all female vendors. I also have a bunch of weekend events planned on the farm. I'm calling them witchy craft, because I like witchcraft it's a stigmatized word, so they're witchy crafts. We're actually going to go forage and find things in the woods and in the fields and create our own items. Like we're going to make witch torches, we're going to make brooms. They're just fun stuff to connect with nature and other people.
That sounds so fun. Yeah. Is there places people can register? I love the Wild Women's Festival. That sounds really great.
Yeah, I kind of want to have my own Wild Women's Festival.
Yeah.
Yes, there are places to register. Can I share those links with you? Because I don't know if I can even recite them properly.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I don't know how we would do that at the moment, but I could put out something. Maybe they could go out with our promos, our reels, or something like that. They come out.
On Facebook, the farm is called Elisha Farms, Elisha, and there are links on that page.
Okay. Cool. That's awesome. Okay, so everybody remember that, Elisha Farms, and there'll be all kinds of fun things that you can look at and register for. So any final thoughts, Jami, as we have a minute left of our show?
I just want to encourage everybody to take a step, even if it's a little tiny step, toward reclaiming who you really are, because that's where the momentum begins. Even if you just go outside for 2 minutes and breathe. That's all you have to do, is a little something.
Yeah, and just to remember, like, you know, the part of my story about my colleague and you even saying, yeah, you're Dominic's mom and all that, and I'm Christopher, Sarah, and Lindsay's mom, and I'm proud to be, and I'm happy to be a wife to my husband and an entrepreneur, and I am just me as well, just me. And everybody, you know, you've got the whole essence of yourself too, that isn't attached to anyone or anything. It's just you. And just to remember that you are amazing, just who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. It's always awesome to spend time with you. And we'll do it again in a year, if not before.
You come to me before that year, well, you know, quicker than later. But thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, and I guess according to my sister, I'm going to be on your show in about a month or so.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll see you next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Make it an awesome day and weekend. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Transformation with Martine, real, raw, and vulnerable conversations. Listen or watch live every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com as Martine and her guests have deep, meaningful conversations, sharing empowering stories. Step into your passions and lead with your heart. If you are ready to accept and love you for you, visit martineemmons.com and start allowing transformation to happen today.